Don't think many of us were expecting that, were we? Don't really know where to start. But all I can say is, Jessica Watson, thank you. Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's time for another late midweek reaction, but one that I think that everybody will be unanimously happy about for a change here at Celtic Football Club. Have we found our form, finally? It took a while, but we spoke about this turning point and how it had to happen for Celtic and how we had to kick on after that huge win against Motherwell, how we had to show that passion that we showed at the end of the game. And ladies and gentlemen, final score, Celtic 7, Dundee 1, by far our most emphatic performance of the season. I think by far our best performance of the season. We've been waiting a hell of a long time to talk about a game like this, a performance like this. So, pardon me if it seems a bit off today and I seem a bit all over the place because I really don't know how to react. I am just absolutely chuffed. And if you wanted a bit of confidence heading into what is going to be a feisty end to the Scottish Premiership season, then, I mean, I don't think winning by 6 goals is anything to turn your nose up at. If you offered me before the game that sort of result, I'd have bit your hand off. So let's try and cover it, shall we? You can obviously sit here all day and talk about individual brilliance in the game, talk about certain segments of play, the individual goals as well. You can analyse that game to death if you're into that kind of thing. But I think that ultimately what you've got to look at from tonight's result is the bigger picture stuff. And what that means for Celtic and what it's shown us as supporters. We do need to be careful. You can't jump in two-footed after a result like that, no matter how good it is, because right round the corner we've got Tynecastle at the weekend, which, you know, for all we know, could bring us right back down to earth. I don't want to think like that after tonight. I'm feeling fairly confident, but you don't want to speak too soon. You don't want to get your hopes set too high. But that tonight is exactly what we've needed and exactly what Brendan Rodgers has been, you know, kind of hinting at for days now. It was time for him to back up his comments. He kept banging on about writing our own story and not letting others write the story. He kept banging on about how frustrated he was, how annoyed he was at certain segments of the support for booing performances or whatever. This was finally time for Brendan Rodgers to put out a performance that allowed him to back up everything he's been going on about all season. And he's probably done that to the best possible standard that he could tonight. A 7-1 win. Dundee aren't pushovers by any sense of the word. They've had a cracking season for the first season back up in the top flight. Tonight should have been all the makings of a tough game considering the way we are playing, and that's the sort of performance we've been given. I think that there's so much from that game that you can pick out to give you signs of confidence heading into this title battle now. But just that moment at half time when the team were going back down the tunnel, I haven't felt a passion like that in Celtic Park for quite a while now. Arguably, you could say we've not felt it at all this season. Yeah, we've had our ups. You know, there's been moments where we were leading teams in Europe. We were leading against Atletico Madrid. We've had our derby win. There has been some great atmospheres. But that was the first time this season I felt like there was that togetherness and celebrating what the team had just shown us. Half-time just felt brilliant because we've been seeing toxicity return to Celtic Park in recent weeks. We've been seeing the booing of the team. We've been seeing people shouting abuse left, right and centre. And rightfully so, because we haven't been anywhere near the standard we should be playing to. But just that 5 minutes or so when the first half ended, it felt like people are now up for the challenge. It felt like people now believe in the team as we head into this challenge. And that is massive. And that's exactly what I spoke about for the last few days. I felt like a broken record, and I feel like a broken record bringing it back up again now, but I need to, because I feel like everything that I said in those videos has come into fruition with all of that tonight. I just kept banging on that same drum about how I wanted the same passion from the team that we've seen in the celebrations at Fir Park, how I wanted to see the same passion from the supporters after the celebrations at Fir Park. I wanted to see all of that combined and channeled into tonight's performance and channeled into tonight's atmosphere at Parkhead, and we got exactly that. And it shows you what can happen when, number one, you start playing good football, but number two, just what happens when everybody's on the same page. There's no denying that we have fumbled what could have been an easy league title for Celtic to win this season, and that is on us. That's our own doing. But tonight has given me enough indication to suggest that Celtic are still well within their rights to win this league title, that the story isn't done yet and Celtic can write their own story. And I don't mean to just sound like the kind of blind Brendan Rodgers supporter that I am, but tonight's performance showed there's certainly quality still in that side. For the quality that we thought we might have lost or might have faded into non-existence, it's still there. And the fans have been rewarded, I suppose, for... You know, we've seemed impatient this season, but there's been a great deal of patience. We've put up with this, you know, and we've been rewarded with that performance tonight. So 7 goals. You also claw back the goal difference massively after Rangers beat Hearts 5-0 at the weekend. We now sit 1 goal behind them because we conceded a stupid goal at the end of the game. But we've clawed back the goal difference as well. It's there. We can do this. Play like that and we certainly can. I mean, where do you start with the game itself? That first half was one of the best halves of football I've ever seen from a Celtic team. Quite frankly, 6-0 up at half-time, 6 different scorers. You couldn't ask for it to be any better. Oh, well, you could. I suppose you could ask for 7 in the first half. But, I mean, my God almighty. What a performance. We were rampant. And do you know what the thing is? It's not like we were peppering Dundee with shot after shot after shot after shot after shot, missing chances. Today, that performance in the first half in particular, what that showed me, what I took from it was the difference it makes when you do take your chances in these games. Because what we've been all season is wasteful, far too wasteful. Strikers have been missing opportunities, wingers have been missing opportunities. Everybody has. You know, we've been missing sitters, we've been putting shots over the bar, wide, missing from point-blank range. We have been hopeless at times in certain games. But we weren't wasteful today. I felt like every shot we took was in the back of the net. There was only a couple that I can actually think of that didn't end up hitting the back of the net. So that's the difference when you actually turn up in a clinical mood, when you want to be lethal, when you want to be ruthless. That's what we've been missing all season. Where has that been for Celtic? I mean, the first 3 goals were headers. Where's this came from? I mean, 3 headers in the first not even half an hour, first 20 minutes of the game today. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like a team possessed. We scored from a set piece. That documentary about Jessica Watson must have worked fucking wonders. I can remember the last time we scored a set-piece goal. Somebody's going to dig up that we scored 1, 2 or 3 weeks ago. But still, nonetheless, I couldn't believe it. Where has this been? I don't understand. Do we need to piss off Brendan Rodgers more often? Is that what happens when there's that fire in his belly? If anybody watched the video I done with Hamish last night, he was very articulate on this point, and I was also adding into the conversation about how Brendan Rodgers has seemed sort of agitated and how he has to use that. He needs to be agitated more often if that's the sort of performances we're going to get. But the first half was absolutely brilliant. 6-0 up at half-time. Felt like one of those games. You just knew in the second half we weren't going to score any more than 1 goal. It's like the Football Manager stuff almost. But we were just, we were all singing from the same hymn sheet. And as I said, the team were rewarded for that with the reception they got from the fans at half-time. Everybody was just brilliant. Dyson Maeda with a terrific finish in his goal, which means that his next shot that he'll have at that end of the stadium will end up in section 412 with me. But still, give him his credit tonight. It was a fantastic finish. I can't think of any players who in that first half let me down. I think that there were so many people that had a good performance, and I want to come on to that in a minute because there's a couple of players that we really need to shine the spotlight on. Adam Ida has been brilliant. I think the presence that he's brought into the team when these games have been so nitty-gritty at times for Celtic has been undoubtedly so important for us. The way that he can hold up a ball especially, it just is brilliant. I love it. It reminds me of what, Moussa Dembele, Rodson Edouard was able to do under Brendan Rodgers when they could hold up the ball and they could make something out of almost nothing because they'd be backed into a horrid position with the amount of defenders on the park. He was one of the players. Tomoki Iwata, who has once again, for me, had a brilliant game. Thought he looked comfortable. And it's not one of those performances that he had to have the ball an awful lot. He was just doing everything that a number 6 has to do right. I was really impressed with what I seen from him again. And it is now, we're at this point, I think, where we have to be honest in saying he should be the number 6 from here on till the end of the season, even in the derby games. Why drop him? Because we are noticing a difference these last couple of games of him being the number 6 instead of Cal McGregor. And Cal McGregor, I think, has arguably looked better playing a little bit ahead, which I've been saying for years he should be playing ahead. But we'll pretend that we don't need to come back to all of that. But Iwata again, I thought had a really good game. But the guy that got man of the match, and I've got to give him his credit because I've given him stick when he's deserved stick, and I've given him criticism when he deserves criticism. But tonight I couldn't end this video without talking about how good Yang was and how much praise he deserves for his performance today. He was brilliant, and I'm not coming out and saying that I've changed my opinion on him. I've done a full 180 and he's the best thing from sliced bread. I still think that Celtic need to add a real quality of wingers on either side. But he came off the bench and looked like the best winger that Celtic had on Sunday, and today he looked brilliant as well, and he was rightfully named man of the match. You've got to remember, he was man of the match with only having 1 assist out of the 7 goals. He didn't score a goal, he only got 1 assist. But it just speaks volumes about how good he was, because usually in these games somebody ends up with 3 or 4 assists as man of the match, 2 goals or whatever. He only got 1 assist, but these are why your stats don't always matter, because his performance today was just absolutely brilliant, and he deserves that man of the match award. So fair play to you, Yang, son. So we're getting players playing with confidence now. I think that Brendan Rodgers has managed to raise the kind of fight in these players coming into this stage of the season where we need them to be. This is the thing. We spoke the other day about Brendan Rodgers playing for perhaps or kind of managing, I should say, he doesn't play, managing to save his job. Some of these players might know that it's playing to save their career at Celtic. And maybe that's why we're seeing vast improvements from a couple over the past couple of games. But, we've been here before. We've got over our heads about certain players after a couple of games. It's key to ensure we don't do that again. But those 3 players, for 3 guys who have come in recent games and made a massive difference to Celtic, deserve a huge amount of credit. I shouldn't really spend too much time in the second half, should I? Big shout out to young Daniel Kelly, who scored his first Celtic goal tonight. And it was a cracker of a goal as well, I must say. It was the only goal we managed to score in the second half, but I love to see one of the young lads coming up and scoring a goal, so that's good for us. Hopefully that we treat him with some with that he's actually talented, rather than disregarding him and forgetting that he exists, and we actually bring somebody through that's decent from the youth academy, because we've not done that in a long time. So congrats to him on his first goal. Really annoyed at the goal that we conceded. There was a stupid goal to give away. Joe Hart will be fuming. It's 1 less clean sheet before his career ends. But listen, a 7-1 performance tonight. A 7-1 win is huge. I would have laughed if you said that was going to happen before the game, so I'm not going to sit and moan about anything tonight. I'm going to enjoy it. It gives me a great deal of confidence moving forward, but we now need to focus on the next game, and we need to keep that level of passion, intensity, of quality up now, because if we keep that up, I know we can win this. But the inconsistencies have came in far too often this season. Now's not the time for it. You've got to build from that there. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? Just to finish up, of course, Rangers won against Kilmarnock this evening, so that means we're still 2 behind Rangers in the league table. But, everybody who's asked me leading into this game, do I think that Kelly can do us a turn? Do I think that Rangers will slip up? What happened? Blah, blah. We need to focus a game at a time, and we need to focus on ourselves. It's the only way we win this league title. I am not giving a toss what happens at the other side of the city. I expect them to win every game that they are in from now till the end of the season, when you take the 2 Celtic games away. So we need to keep winning. We need to beat them, and we'll deal with it when we come to it. Right now, we've got to go to Tynecastle at the weekend, and we've got to win that game, and that's what matters most. Anyway, that does it for my match reaction tonight. I've yapped and yapped and yapped. We will cover more of this game over the next couple of days, heading into that match against Hearts, so make sure and look out for that on the channel. Also, a video with Hamish gone live here tomorrow, so look out for that. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Enjoy my Kieran Tierney mug. See you next time.